Hello. I'm coming on a little early to test some things. Let me know if you guys can hear the sound, if you can see the video okay, if I'm well lit enough. I just wanted to come on a few minutes early, test out my mic. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if there's an echo. Chime in. I am trying to bring you guys two views here so you can see the top down of me working at my sewing machine, as well as me here on the side camera. And let me grab the pattern so that we can see what we are working. You can't hear all that well. It might be my mic. I'm trying to use an external mic. Hold on. Okay, let me know if it sounds any better, Carm. I'm gonna cut this external mic off and see if that's the problem. Was that any better, Carm, or no? Oh, okay. That is smart. I do have an extra device. But we will be sewing Know Me 2050, which is a very cute pattern by Aronica B. Cole. And I really like this pattern because a little far away. All right, let's try one more thing. I have several options today. Today is a trial and error day. Thank you all in advance for being patient with me. I have another mic and it wasn't registering. Does this mic sound any clearer? If not, I'll just go with the computer audio and just or try to speak up. But let me know if this mic comes through any clearer than the previous two. Actually, let me go to... I sound fine. Okay, thank you. I be being extra. I'm already trying to give y'all, some really professional stuff by letting y'all know that that I'm having the picture in picture, which took me a while to figure out. But as I told Carm, I was not gonna let her down. I'm not gonna let her and Black Sewing Network down. I'm gonna figure it out. So let's hope that both of these streams stay live and I don't have to figure something else out. But yes, we will be sewing Know Me 2050, which is this gorgeous pattern right here from Aronica B. Cole. Great. Okay, then we'll stick with this mic. It is a very easy pattern, so we should not be on very long today. I am going to show you my fabric and my machine in just a second. I'm just going to try to let a few more people join in, and I'm going to post to IG real quick to just make sure no one forgot that we were over here. And then we'll get right into it. But I have sewn this dress before. I think you've seen it if you follow me on my Instagram. It is a really cute dress. I made it out of a polka dot sweater knit, and I made view B with the collar. I can also show it to you on this camera here. It's probably easier to see on the larger camera, but you can see that it's very cute, very simple knit dress, just a pullover. I like it with the collar. I like both lengths. Like, I like all the views of this particular pattern. So when Carmen told me that Black Sewing Network was focusing on patterns from Black designers this month, this was very much my first pick. It is great for like a cute little Valentine's Day dress, regardless of if you're staying in or going out. You know, you're going out with your girlfriends, you're going out with your man. It's cute, it's comfy, and sexy. You can eat good, eat all your chocolates, and still have a little room, okay? It's a thing. Hey, everybody. So happy to see you here. So let's move on to my fabric real quick. I am using, and I'm going to hold it up to this camera because I think it's better. This is a French terry, like a very micro French terry. You can see here the terry on the back. And then this is like that smooth, more like a sweatshirt, you know, the front of a French terry, like type fabric. But the trick that I'm going to do here is that, as you can see it here on Ronica, that you have sort of like a drop sleeve. You might see it better on the actual back. But this gives you a little cute place where you can do some interesting things. And I actually didn't have enough of the French terry to do the sleeve. So what I'm doing instead is this like burgundy ruby sequence fabric for the sleeve. That's what to me is going to elevate a little bit, make it a little bit more special occasion, make it a little bit more holiday. So you can see here, I think I matched my colors as well as I could, considering that these are two completely different fabrics. I'm not sure how I'm going to love this combo together, but you know, I'm having a Carmen moment. We're going to just make it work, okay? We're going to make it work because I feel like this is going to work. Hi, Peaches. Hi, Carm. Hi, Shelby. Hi, Jermaine. Hi, So Conspicuous. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started. Hopefully a few more people will trickle in. But I'm actually going to follow the instructions because I'm going to try to treat this a little bit like a sew-along. I don't usually follow instructions, but we really going to try it. We really going to try it today. I'm trying to be educational for Black Sewing Network during this Black History Month. So what I want to show you first is that I'm doing a combination of patterns here. I am actually going to be doing the length of view B, but I will be omitting the collar. So it'll really be sort of like view A in the sense that there will be no collar, but I will be doing the length of view B, so it's sort of a matchup. One day I still really want to do the color blocking. I really thought about for this sew doing half pink, half red, because I thought that would be cute for Valentine's Day as well, but alas, I didn't have time to find more fabric. So we're going to go with what I just showed you. So if we go along, thank you. If we follow along on this, the first step is to sew together the front sections, because this pattern, unlike a lot of knit patterns, because of the option of color block, has a split front and a split back. So you have two fronts and you have two backs, which means you have a center back seam and a center front seam. So the first two steps are going to be to sew the center fronts together as well as the center backs together. So let's start with that. I am using my trusty Singer Stylus machine, which is my original machine I've really had almost since the beginning of sewing. I'm going to turn my camera around a little bit so hopefully you can see it. It's actually a very basic sort of intro machine. Everything that I've ever created has pretty much come between this machine or the machine behind it. Both very entry machine, proving that you are what makes your creations work, not how nice your machine is. Not that I don't want a nicer machine. Shout out to Faf or Bernina, whoever wants to sponsor me, please and thank you. All right, let's go ahead and pull these two pieces together. We can tell that what I have here is the center. Oh, that's the bottom, so let's find the top first. This is the center front because this is, it'll be upside down for you guys, sorry. This is the deep V and this is the shoulder. So I cut it wrong sides together, which wasn't smart. I should have just cut it right sides together, but y'all, when I tell you I was cutting and measuring by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I promise you that's what I was doing. So I'm gonna try to keep it in frame here. I'm just matching up. There is a double notch along the front and it's fairly close to the neckline. I am matching it. I matched the very top of the V here. You actually have a dot, which I just transferred as a notch, which you're going to need to stop sewing there for when it comes time to attach the facing, but we'll get to that when the time is right. And so I'm just going to pin along this whole center front. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys something in just 1 second. Let me get there, because when I tell you, I don't remember if it was on the front or the back. When I tell you I was cutting by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I'm going to tell y'all how I made something that's supposed to take 2 yards work out of like 1.5. Whew, let me show you. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Cake. All right, so I am at the bottom hem, and this is where I'm gonna show you how desperate I was for fabric. Do you see this? Do you see this notch? Do you see how this side of the front is not as long as that side of the front? Even right here. But that's how so we're just gonna make it. It might not, it's obviously not gonna be quite view B length. I just cut the pieces as long as I could, and now I am pinning them together. And what I am going to do for this construction is use my Singer stylus to sew the pieces together, and then I'm gonna go over it with my serger, because I don't know why. Obviously, like, I could just serge the whole thing, it's a knit, but it's just been habit since like the beginning of me sewing that I sew first and then serge later. So bear with me for the extra step that I have given myself. Oh, the one other thing that I did want to mention is, and Carm, I know you said you've had problems in the past, so please cross your fingers for me, because I have not had problems with it. But yes, Carmen, please. I'm so sorry. You're gonna get on me, I know. Thank you guys for joining in. One of the main things that I want to do this year is really grow my YouTube channel and be able to monetize it. So I am very excited about getting closer to that goal, but I'm still a little bit away. So every moment that you can keep this on, even if you're not listening to me, even if you just put it on volume 1 and just sort of set it to the side while you're watching TV, I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it, because I would really love to get to the point where I can monetize this channel. I have big dreams of doing more sew-alongs and sewing tutorials, because my passion is really getting as many people as possible to start sewing, because I really think it's a great hobby, and it's really a life skill, right? For all of us that sew, like, it's great. It's so many, it's therapy to so many people. Like, sewing is just amazing for so many reasons. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this top-down view, even though you can't really see my machine, is just I want to show you what I'm doing. So this is just the center. Push it back as far as I can. This is the center front, and I am going to be sewing at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance to sew this together. The trick, if you're new to sewing, is always to watch your seam plate and not the, well, actually I can take this out, is to watch the plate and not so much the needle. So hold on, bear with me, we're gonna make this work. I'm gonna be as informative as possible. You don't want to watch your needle. The needle is not really going to help you sew. What you want to follow is the needle. Oh, I'm upside down. There we go, is the needle plate. So here is where you see the 5/8 of an inch mark. That's what you want to be focused on, keeping this fabric lined up with this, not the needle. The needle's going to do what it needs to do. The needle knows its job. All right, so I'm going to put you back overhead and try to keep it like this, because I don't want to make y'all dizzy. All right, I think that is about right. All right, so wait, is that right? Should it be the other way? Now I'm confused. This is why I shouldn't have messed with it. But anyway, here we go. So we're just gonna sew. Oh, the thing that I started on, sorry. Carm, I was saying that I know that you had a problem with the stretch thread before. I am actually using this stretch thread. This is Coats and Carts brand called EcoFlex. The label's sort of torn, but you can see it here. And I like using this when I'm using knit fabrics, just to make sure that it can stretch so that I don't have to sew a zigzag stitch. Although this isn't a really stretchy fabric, so I think it should be fine. I just wanted to make that mention. I actually don't have it on the thread here, because I had some Gutermann thread, but I am using this in the bobbin, and you can see, hopefully, there is like stretch in this thread, so that prevents it from popping. So just FYI, so if I get frustrated or something goes wrong, I'm gonna take it out. I usually put it in the needle, but I did not put it in the needle today, because I know the last time that Carm and somebody else were trying to use it, it was giving y'all a headache, and I ain't want to deal with that today. This is gonna be a quick sew. We're gonna keep it quick. Catrice. Hi, Kay. Thank you guys so much for joining. Is anybody else actually sewing tonight? So Ebony, my tip is, one, if you're really having problems with it, just use it in the bobbin, okay? Secondly, I always loosen my tension a little bit, so I don't know how well you can see it on camera because I can't zoom on this camera, but like this is auto, and if I switch it, this is -1, so it's looser. I feel like I need to switch the camera the other way, but this is a little bit looser because I don't want the bobbin thread to be pulled at full tension. I think that's what causes it to break. So I loosen it a little bit here. Like you don't want to go crazy, right? But I loosen the tension a little bit, like to my first notch. I have a tension of -3. I take it to -1, and that way it doesn't have that same, it has less tension on the bobbin, so it's less likely to snap. That's my tip. Taking a break today. Look, Carmen got me all excited because I knew I was going on live today. I started sewing something Monday or Tuesday night, but I still need to finish. And then Carmen decided at the last minute, I guess, that she wants to make Nikki's pattern from her Know Me coat pattern. And now I feel like I want to make that with her too. So there's that's the problem. So let me put that up there. Maybe it won't, hopefully it won't get in the way so you can also see it while I'm sewing. Oh, now it's bobbing. All right, so, oops, look how fast, that's how fast I ran out of bobbin thread. But y'all, won't he do it, won't he will, because I got all the way to the end of this seam. Do you see that? I got all the way to the end of this seam. But when I tell you hold for it, there is literally nothing left on this bobbin. The good Lord saw fit for me to at least finish that seam. Thank you, Jesus, because I would have scrimped. The scream, I would have scrimped. That literally was every little piece that was on the bobbin thread. Is amazing. So now that we did all that talking, Carmen, it might not like you. Maybe it doesn't like your machine. We're not gonna say it's you. I am using a very lightweight French terry, Ebony. So you can see here it has like that French terry looping on the back, but it has the smooth like sweatshirt sort of fleece in the front, but it's not a fleece back, it's a micro terry back. I don't remember really where I got that fabric from, but I've had it for a while. And for a little razzle dazzle, I'm using this sequence fabric for my sleeves. That's what I'm gonna like use to take it up a notch. All right, so y'all bear with me. I should have like had this ready to go. I didn't look at how much thread was on the bobbin, but we are gonna go ahead and wind this. I will see if there are any more comments that I can respond to while I am doing this, so we're not just sitting here watching me wind up this thread. Okay, let me get it wound first though. Now the elastic fabric thread does like to fray. I don't know if you can see that, how it like wants to fray. So sometimes it's hard to get it through the bobbin or through the needle if you're actually using it through the needle too. So that part is annoying, but I think I'm gonna be able, oh nope, y'all, I'm over 40. I can see though, I can see my contacts are in. There we go. All right. I like to cut off the extra before I get too wound and it might get caught in there. And so I'm just gonna, oh shoot, it got off the looper, but that's fine. Just gonna let that run. Okay. Yes, Lisa, that's what I do because I'm really impatient and a zigzag stitch to me takes terribly long. That little extra time that it takes to go ziggity zag drives me crazy. If I really am that stretchy of fabric, I almost do all the construction on the serger, but like I said, I do typically like to go back and forth between my sewing machine and my serger, even though it makes everything take twice as long. But I have found this elastic thread at JoJo's, and It works fine for me, but as you can see in the comments, there are definitely mixed reviews. Ooh, I love that Mimi camo jacket. I need to join Sword Academy just so I can get that. Y'all, did you see this? Did anybody else just see that? There's like a delay, but did you see this? I'm trying to wind this thread and it literally just popped, like my bobbin broke. I need to start checking my bobbins and seeing if these bobbins are just too old, because this is the second bobbin that this has happened to. Oh my gosh. Like, let me take it off. I don't think I can save all this thread either, because this elastic thread is expensive. I don't know if you can see what I'm trying to say here, but like literally the top, like the other side of the bobbin literally popped off. Look at all this. Look at this bird's nest. Y'all, we might be using regular thread for the rest of this, Jesus. Because what am I going to do with... literally broke in half. Is that crazy? Has that ever happened to anybody else? My goodness. Carmen, it will not take 2 seconds to make them pants. Stop it. I'm sorry. I'm just seeing your comment. It will not take 2 seconds to make them pants. Y'all, how am I going to tangle this bird's nest? I'm not. We just going to cut this off. We just going to look at all this thread. I might try to wrestle with it later, but for the sake of this live, we just going to put that in a drawer and wait for another day. Now, let's try another bobbin, because Jesus. What? Why? Carmen, maybe the thread don't like me either, girl. I mean, this bobbin looks absolutely new and fine. We gonna try it again. The thread might hate us. I don't know what I did to it. I don't know what I did to deserve this. You know what? But my bobbin thread hang out to the end of the stitch on the last stitch, so we just gonna say that was a fluke. We gonna start over. Maybe this time I won't wind as much. I'll wind a little less. See if that, I don't know why that would make a difference, but I'm gonna do the best that I can. That was crazy. Hey, Yvonne. Literally, has anybody else's bobbin just given up on them like that before? That has happened to me one other time. And Carmen, to your point, I was using this elastic thread. I was using my black elastic thread, but it was the elastic thread. I wonder. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna put as much up here this time, you guys. I think I'm actually gonna, like, if I have to redo it, I just have to redo it. Cause I don't want to repeat of what just happened. That was weird. Right, Tydree? That was strange. We just gonna fast and pray. So my coworker loves to say, we're just gonna move on. Fast and pray. Okay, so let's get this baby wound back up, and now we're going to sew the center backs together. If you're following along, we've already sewn the center fronts together. I'm going to sew the center backs together. I'm going to do as much work as I can over here on this machine before I move to my serger. Is that typically how I would do things? Probably not, but it's how it's going to happen today. All right, so this is the back. Now the back I had a little bit more room width, so nothing is cut off here. The front is going to dictate that length. This is the back neckline. This is the back armhole. This is the back neckline. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this together, right sides facing. So again, let me try it on this smaller monitor this time, although I know the resolution is higher on my overhead. Is I am going to take these double notches, and this is actually a triple notch because it's the back. I'm going to take these for the both pieces, and I'm going to line it up and pin. Are y'all team pins or team clips? I have both. I tend to reach for my pins more often though, so I've lined those up. Okay, and I'm just going to pin it. Then I'm going to pin sort of the neckline together at the top, and then I am going to pin along it because this is a midi length dress, so it's sort of long. The thread is just the devil. Okay, Carm, you know, I might be on your side now because I was trying to defend it and it just keeps doing me dirty. So what's the point of defending it, right? You got to go with who's with you. Your team pins, okay, because everybody seems to be team clips, and I'm like, am I just old school? I will use the clips obviously if I'm using leather or the fabric that the micro suede that I use to make Julian's Know Me coat pattern. I think it's 2060 or 2059. That pattern I did use clips because that fabric was super thick. I was using a super thick micro suede, and I was using coated denim. So it was a lot to try to pin through. Okay, so Carm, you're either or. Jermaine, and is that Tommy? Y'all are with me in the pins, as you can see. Pins. Okay, so these are just the center backs. We're just going to sew this together. 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Hopefully this thread will continue. Oh, you know what? I didn't take it out of the top, so let's see how this works. Let's see if it'll... I meant to switch back to my regular coats thread. You can see the blue. I meant to switch back to this Gutermann thread, and I forgot. I just instantly out of habit. So let's just see how long this lasts. And then for ebony, I will show you how you can actually see the extra stretch when you use the thread too. So that'll be an experiment worth showing. If, Lord willing, that it don't snap. Now, again, like I said, this is overkill because I plan on going over this with a serger anyway. So if the thread were to fail, the serge stitch would keep it together. Hi, Linda. Peaches is pins too. Hi, Will. Good to see you. As long as the fabric is working with me, I mean the thread, I'm gonna work with it. So let me show y'all. So this is this elastic thread, EcoFlex, has the blue thing. This is Coates and Clark's version. I'm pretty sure Gutermann has a version. But yeah, so that you know, this is sewn, I hope you can see it, with a straight stitch. And there is some stretch here. There actually isn't that much vertical stretch in this fabric, but like, the thread is stretching with it. The actual, I'm not going to pull it out because it's actually working with me, but the actual thread has some stretch, which allows you to sew a straight seam. I mean, I guess you could still sew with zigzag seam if you just wanted to be sure. You just have some extra reallowance. But there we go. This is the center back that we have here. Show it on the other camera. This is the center back. And then this is the center front. Typically, I would actually, no, I'm not going to get up and serge this right now. You know why? Because I have to do the shoulder seams anyway. So let's go ahead and work on that. This is the deep V. Oh, let me get it right. This is the deep V of the front of the dress here. A little sleeve action. Once I don't have this t-shirt on. So let's sew the shoulders together, and then we will move to the facings. I'm pretty sure that's the reason, the way that the rules tell you to do it, even though, like I said it before, I typically don't read those. But yes, it says go ahead and stitch the front and back together at the shoulder seams, and then it's going to want you to stay stitch the neck. I'm not doing that. And then we're going to skip the collar, so then the next thing would be the facing. So we've done step 1, we've done step 2, we're about to do step 3 here, which is sew the shoulders together. Now there should be one notch on the shoulder. Oh, that's the bottom. There should be one notch on the shoulder. You can see it here, right there. Okay, and you're going to take that, that's the front, you're going to match it to that same notch on the back. So I'm going to move it so that I can get it better, but that is what I am doing. So you always want to start by pinning at the notch. Hi, Linda. Oh, I love all the emojis. Y'all, I might actually like streaming on YouTube. If you follow me, you know that I've primarily been doing my BSN sew-alongs on TikTok because, you know, Carm finally got me to do it because I was not about that life. But, you know, Carmen make you do things. And you need to do them. She be doing the right thing. I just be stubborn sometimes. But I had been wanting to try YouTube because, again, as Carmen mentioned earlier, as I mentioned earlier, I'm really trying to get to the point where I can monetize my channel. I want to bring you guys and all of YouTube all kinds of great stuff in sewing content. So my goal is to, you know, get as many watch hours as I can so I can get monetized. If anyone doesn't know, you have to get 3,000 to hit the first level, and then you have to get 4,000 watch hours to hit the second one. So while you're here, if you can like this live, I would appreciate it. Comment, engage, talk to the other people in the chat, talk to me. I will be sewing and checking the comments. And definitely please subscribe. Subscribe. If you have been to my YouTube channel before, you have probably seen my pattern release thoughts, and I've done about 5 or 6 of them this year already because so many patterns have already dropped, all the early spring and the spring, so they are up. And then Berta just dropped their pattern. I would have recorded that video today, but of course I wanted to make sure that I got this ready for you guys, so I am gonna be probably recording that tomorrow because I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts on this Berta, okay? And it's a pretty big drop, so I'm gonna have a lot to say on that one. The other thing I really want to do is start doing the same kind of thing, but with indie patterns. But since they don't like all release at the same time, y'all give me some ideas of how I should do that. Should I just do like a recap of new patterns every month, you know, like from the indie pattern companies? Or should I do it by season, you know, like I do for the Big 5 drop? Either way, I just need to start keeping a running list of who's dropped what. So this is the second shoulder seam. Uh-oh, I heard something go click. Please don't break. Okay, it's holding on, it's holding on. This is the second shoulder seam. All right, yep, now that time it snapped. It stretches a little bit more in this direction. Oh, why did that get skewed? It stretches a little bit more in this direction, the fabric, 'cause this is the horizontal stretch, not the vertical stretch. And you can see how the thread is just stretching with it. So that is why I like the stretch thread. But it will still do its job if it's just in the bobbin. So like right then what popped was my needle thread. I'm trying to see if it actually popped in this seam. If that's a skip stitch. No, I think it's fine. Okay, anyway. So now we have the, turn it right side out. Now we have the V-neck of the, oh, that's how it got twisted. Now we have the V-neck of the front done. This is the back. Nothing's been serged yet because I'm going to go ahead and do the facings, which, like I stated, I've only made a couple of Berta, if I'm being really honest. It's not that I don't like them. Now we are moving on to step 10 because we skipped all the steps for step B, and that includes just doing the interfacing, which I've already done, I pre-did. And we're going to sew the fronts together as it shows here to the dot, and then we are going to sew the backs together. So let's do that. But yeah, I have done a Berta jumpsuit that actually turned out, Lord have mercy, turned out pretty cute. I liked it. I made it in a stretch corduroy, but y'all, let me tell you what I did. You know, corduroy has a nap, right? You know what a nap means? A nap means that, you know, the fabric definitely goes one way. Velvet and corduroy definitely have like a nap where if you brush it one way it's wrong, if you brush it the other way it's right. I sewed the pants of that jumpsuit with the wrong nap together. So if you would like brush down the pant leg, it was like you know, going against the grain. It was not comfortable. But it was cute. I still wore it. Don't get it twisted. I still wore it. I spent a lot of time making it, so it still got worn. Okay, now I just have to put my hand on my facing pieces because I know that I cut them and interfaced them. So where did they go? If you're just joining, I am working on Know Me 2050 by Aronica B. Cole. And I am stalling because I do not know what happened to my facing pieces, even though I was very sure to put everything over. Oh, they're on the ground. That's the problem. Okay, found them. So I used, this is the center front facing. There's 2 of them. I used a knit interfacing so that it would have some stretch because this is a knit fabric, even though it doesn't have a whole lot of like vertical stretch. So what we're going to do per the instructions is sew, wait, yeah, you're going to sew from the bottom up to where the dart is, but you can't really see because I have this black interfacing, but I know that it's there. Just make sure that you mark all your markings. It's really just 5/8 of an inch down, basically. So if you can even eyeball it, it's fine. But yeah. And you're going to do it at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance as well. About 5/8 of an inch down. Oops. Since this snap, I'm going to go ahead and change this thread so we don't have to deal with this all night. I don't want to have to deal with that breaking again. So it's going to switch back to my regular Gutermann thread. I prefer it to Coats and Clark's, although I'm pretty sure they're quite similar. It's more that I just like their spools better than anything. But I think I've made that and maybe one other. I've made 2 things out of Berta, I think, at best. Has anybody else worked with Berta? And what are your thoughts about it? Now, I've never done one of the actual ones from the Berta magazine. I know Dressmaking Debacles, Natasha, she loves them. I don't have the patience for the tracing, but the like Simplicity Berta that you can buy on the website, I have made maybe 1 or 2 of those. Oh, I'm so happy. The 29 people have joined. I was really so nervous, you guys, that no one was going to show up for this live. I don't know why I'm like that. I am, though. All right, and then this is the back facing. So we're going to sew them together on this long side. And get the other one. Yeah. And this is sewn all the way. So the notches there are just to line it up. So we're going to go ahead and sew that. Quick little stitch. Bam. Now this I'm not going to bother serging because it's just a facing. So if I was being good, I would go to the table and press this. I'm really just going to press this with my fingers. 1, because it's a knit, and 2, because I'm attached to a mic to my laptop right now, so y'all can hear me clearer, and I don't feel like trying to drag that across the room. So this is the front facing. This is what it looks like. Like I said, you're going to sew the center fronts together, and then this part is open here, where you have your dot up. So that's what that should look like. And so now you're just going to take the front to the back, and let me get it right. And then you're just going to attach that to create the facing. Line that up. There should be notches, I think. If not, they're pretty easy to line up anyway. So you're just going to line those 2 up so that you have your back facing and your front facing ready to attach to the dress. So I'm not even going to pin it, but definitely pin it if you need the extra security. I'm just going to go ahead and sew through it. I never tried the free Berta, and by the time I think I sort of got hip to it is when they had stopped doing it, so it didn't matter. How did those turn out? Hey, Julian. Hey, friend. Thank you, Carm. I don't know. I get in my head a lot, y'all. 2024 is my year of I'm just going to do the things. I'm not going to second guess myself. I'm not going to talk myself out of it. I'm just going to do the things, right? That's what we're supposed to do. So now what I am going to do is I'm actually going to take everything over to my serger. So bear with me while I move the camera. If this was like us recorded so long, I would probably, you know, break. Anyway, I'm going to serge along the edge of this whole facing because I don't ever want this to come apart or whatever. I have a way of doing clean facings, but I didn't feel like bothering with doing that today. You can check my Instagram and my TikTok for that tip stitch tip. But anyway, I'm just going to go along the outside edge and serge it. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to serge the front center seam and the back center seam. So let me try to very carefully, without giving y'all too much vertigo, move this camera. I think I have it rigged so that it's not that hard for me to do. So bear with me. All right, that wasn't too bad, hopefully, for y'all. Get some extra light so we can see. And then we're just going to move over here. All right. Rest of my pieces. I like to keep my little trash can close so that I can throw my scraps away. And yep, there we go. Cut off this other mic. Okay, so this is the facing piece that I was talking about. So you have the back and the front, and what I'm going to do is just serge along the outside. And I actually need a piece of scratch fabric real quick to, I cheated and I changed my fabric I changed my thread by the tie off method. So it's black up until that point and then it's pink because I just tied it off. So I just want to use this scrap fabric to get all of that black out, although it's just the facing and it won't kill me if black is on the inside, but I'd rather not. They ran small. Well, then that wouldn't have worked well for me anyway. All right, so yep, you can see it changed from black to pink there, because I had to run out the rest of that black thread. So excuse the mess of my scrap bin. I need to empty that. All right, so like I said, I'm just gonna do along the outside of here. I'm gonna start at the center back, why not? And go through. What I like to do here is when I get to, I hope you can see, when I get to these places where the seams are, I just sort of finger press them open since I didn't actually press them. So that they stay flatter when I attach it. And I'm just going to come in and trim a little bit of this seam allowance from the center front out of the way. And for this, I'm actually probably going to serge all the way off and then catch it and go in the other direction. I'm going to finger press this seam open as well. And now we're back to the center back. so now that is finished along that outside edge, and this inside edge is what will get attached to the dress, so you won't see that. Okay, now like I said, I had already done the front center seam and the back center seam and the shoulders, so I'm actually going to start with the shoulders here. Let me hold it up. The shoulders here, I'm going to take it and serge those. I want to stay. Serge these shoulder seams, and then I'm going to do the center back. And what just dawned on me is I might not serge the center front because of how this facing has to get applied. I'll show you guys in 1 second. Let me get there. This is why it really would make more sense for me to just sew everything on the serger. I don't know why I tend to shy away from doing that unless I'm doing like a swimsuit or athletic wear. If I'm doing one of them that I know got a stretch, I do everything on the serger. All right, and then this is the center back here, and I'm just going to serge that seam closed. Well, it's already closed. I'm just going to finish it off with the serger. So nobody else is sewing but me tonight. All right, so that's all serged nicely. Show on both cameras. Got that seam serged. So I was going to serge this center front seam together, but again, you need that 5/8 of an inch gap right there to attach the facing neatly. So I'd either have to serge both sides, which I could totally do, but you see how I'm impatient. It's knit. Nothing's going to happen if I don't serge it. Excuse me. I use the stretch thread, so it's really fine. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it. We are going to attach the center back to the center back, and I'm going to show this on this camera because on the other one it would be upside down, right? I'm just going to put this here. Now, I'm like, what is that light showing? It's not on. And now my pins are at my other machine. Let's grab them. Okay. And I just like to match that seam up. You know, fold your seam allowance to one side. Then we're going to match the shoulder seams, which again, I sort of did that finger pressing to press that open. I'm going to line that up at each shoulder seam. Ooh, on your vintage machines. Julian, I want to come visit you just to play on your machines. I don't even know if I want to play on them. I'm going to be too afraid to break them. I just want to watch you play on them. We're going to need to talk one day, Julian. I mean, we talk, but I have a vintage machine that's from my grandmother. Now, my grandmother lived to be 105. So she was born in 1911. I say all that to say, it ain't that old of a machine like I thought I was going to be getting when my dad told me, oh, I really want you to have your grandmother's, sewing machine. But it is an older machine. And I have it. I feel like I need to take it to get it looked at before I even attempt to use it. But it's one of the older Singers that like came in a travel box kind of situation. It's definitely a Singer. That's really all I know about it. But I forgot I know the king of all things sewing machines. Like, why have I not asked you this before? Y'all, if you want to learn absolutely anything about sewing machines, make sure that you tune in to Julian when he goes live on TikTok or wherever he may go live. Follow him on Instagram so you can follow along in his stories. He has a wealth of information about, I think, actually probably a lot of things, but specifically vintage machines. If you have any interest in that, and even modern day machines, I mean, he is just an expert on sewing machines in general. Now, I ain't telling y'all all to DM him and drive him crazy. Don't do that. But definitely use what he puts out as a resource. Now, I actually need to go back to my sewing machine and stitch this together because I didn't backstitch it. Well, you know what? Can I just pull these threads? I typically don't. Oh my gosh, that does sound fun. Okay, actually, you know what? I don't have to because I just pulled it closed. And then we're gonna line it up. This is where some people get stuck in sewing a clean V. This is a little bit easier than a band V, if that makes sense. If you're doing like a hem band, because that I feel like can be trickier. But it's all about getting everything lined up neatly and pinning securely and having a place to start and a place to stop. So I have to go back to my sewing machine anyway to sew around this. I'm actually going to just move the camera you can see me on right now, unless y'all feel like y'all need to see it in the other way, and then I will happily move it. But if y'all are fine with looking at it, just give me 1 second to... Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and move it because I need to show the shoulder seams after this. And I'm definitely doing that on the sewing machine because they are sequins and I don't want to mess up my serger. Anytime I try to sew sequins on my serger, I end up breaking a needle or several. Depends on how many times I try. Okay. I think that's close to being in the right spot. Okay, let's move this back over. Sorry for the jostling. Sorry for the jostling. All right, that looks back pretty good. Okay, let's start again. This time I'm actually going to start at the center front. So again, it looks better on this camera. This is the center front, and you see how I have pins on both sides because I'm really trying to line up this V as cleanly as possible. So I'm going to start on one edge and go all the way around to the other, and backstitch at the start and the stop. And hopefully, I don't always get a perfect hem out of this, but we are definitely going to give it a valiant effort today. And you want to start right at where you stopped at the dot. I didn't actually mark the dot, but you want to start right at where the dot should be. I'm going to do a couple of stitches forward, a couple of stitches back to back stitch, and then just go all around at 5/8 of an inch. Now on this pattern, I'm pretty sure we'll look at the instructions together. Oh, and I am still following the instructions. I just don't keep referencing them because what we did was step number 14, where after I interfaced, I got the front and back together. And then you can see step 15 is saying with right sides together, sew the pins, sew the facing to the neck edge, and that's what we're doing here. Okay. So usually I don't really be following the instructions, but I am for y'all. I am, just in case somebody wanted to sew along. I wanted to see. You are putting oh, how big of a PDF? Because that is a whole job done for the evening. I understand. How many pages was that PDF? Because I say I don't have a limit, but I do have a limit. I really need to work on finding a local print shop. Or I need to, better yet, do like Aronica and start using the projector files. I haven't got that far yet. Has anybody else done the projectors? Have you taken Veronica's class? Do you prefer the projectors to all the taping and cutting? Because let's be real, even with the paper pattern, I think the cutting out the pattern, I don't know what's worse, cutting out the pattern or cutting out the fabric, but they both sort of suck. Or am I the only one? Because I want to get straight to the sewing. All right, now we are coming back around. Again, I think it's a little bit too far, plus this is in the way. But we are coming back around to the front of that V. So what I'm going to do is push all the extra fabric, all that seam allowance towards me, so that I can get as close as I can back to that dot here. Okay. Not yet, but I plan to buy one. Yeah, I need to take the class because I'm afraid that I'm going to buy the wrong projector. So I need to take the class. I know that she discusses what type of projector works or she uses. Okay, so let's see how well this V came out. Or not. Oh. This might be one of my better V's. Y'all. Ha! Oh, y'all gave me the good luck after that thread gave me the bad luck. Look at this. Hold on. Let me get it together. So y'all can see what I'm trying to show you. It needs a good press. That's for sure. But look at that. Look at that V. Clean as can be. You see that? It needs a press so it'll stay down. But like, clean. Impressive. Okay, that's a clean V right there. Okay, so I believe, and I'll look, what the instructions want you to do is probably trim this seam allowance, right? Because it's sort of chunky. So I'm probably going to trim this seam allowance, and then I'm sure that it is going to want me to top stitch this. I've made this dress before, and I feel like I'm going to top stitch it. I don't typically, let me show it to y'all better. I don't typically like top stitching because I just like the clean look of just a clean neckline, which is why I line a lot of things. But anyway, I think that I'm going to, because this is a long distance and it's a deep V, and I just know that even if I understitch it, this is going to keep wanting to flip out, and that's going to drive me insane. So this thread is pretty close match. I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch it. I don't know why that irks me, but I mean, the only other option would have been to line this dress, and that isn't necessary for this dress. I think I'm going to sew, I think I'm going to go ahead and understitch it just to, you know, extra make sure. But let's see what the instructions say. Let's try to be right. The instructions say to trim, understitch, trim, and then understitch the facing, of course. And then it tells you, so here it says to trim, to trim and understitch the facing. And then it tells you, again, backwards. Okay. It tells you to turn the facing over, press it, and then top stitch it at number 17. And I guess I'm going to be a rule follower today and go ahead and do that. Let me see if I can turn on my iron really quickly, and then I'm just going to come back and trim this for you guys. Hopefully I don't break anything. Here we go. Being attached, I have this like super long microphone cord. So I can move about the cabin pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and trim this a little bit before I understitch it as well. So let me find my little sharp scissors. This is gonna take a second because baby scissors. So let's talk. What's up, peoples? But I want to start at the V. There's the V. There we go. I'm going to cut this in about half. So, cutting about half of that off of the seam allowance. Does anybody already have Valentine's plans? Do y'all stay in? Do y'all stay out? I started off this live by saying that I think this is a really cute little Valentine's dress. It's cozy, comfy. You can go out, have your delicious dinner, eat all your chocolates, and still have room in this dress. It's also really cute to just wear out with your girlfriends, you know? Whatever. Oop. Did too much jostling at once. That was a little close, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Or are y'all like me? I'm not really a big Valentine's person. I like dressing up for anything because I just like an excuse to dress up and make something new. But I'm not a really big Valentine's person. I'm more of a like, let's celebrate our anniversary or let me do Galentine's Day with my girls. I'm not really a big Valentine's person. Never have been, really. All right, so now that that is trimmed, I trimmed the facing about half. I'm going to go ahead and push this over to the side and understitch, catching the seam allowance here, but getting it right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then, actually, you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to put my tag in. Hold on, I lied. I have my little tags. I get these from Dutch Label Shop. I love them oh so much. They make me feel oh so official. I buy them by the hundreds because I sew a lot. Anyway, so this tag, I'm going to go ahead and put it in. This is a good time to put it in on the facing before too many things get stitched down. So I'm just going to go ahead and sort of attach this real quick. I usually would change this out to white thread, but this burgundy is close to the red that's in my logo. So again, make it work. Are y'all excited about, wait, hold on. Somebody answered my first question. I be asking too much, y'all. I be having so many thoughts. Planning my meal. Okay, that's what matters. Because what we all want to do is eat, child. Is everybody excited about Abbott Elementary coming back on tonight? I feel like everybody's a fan of that show. So, is everybody excited? Don't forget, it comes on at 9. Don't you leave me. I ain't tell you that to leave my live. I told you that to be a nice person. Come back. Stay here until 9. We'll be finished in an hour. I think Carmen and I both scheduled off until like 11 for this, like 3 hours, but I think we're going at a pretty good pace. We just need to do the sleeves and hem, and I may do that off live unless y'all really want to see me use my cover stitch, but it is going to require me to rethread it, although rethreading a cover stitch is like super easy. But yeah, is anybody else excited about Abbott Elementary coming back after the writer's strike? I like to tie off my serger tails. So there's a way that you get in there and you pull. Okay, that's hard to do away from me. You pull the two needle threads and then they separate from the other threads. And then you can do, oh, come on, separate. Don't make me a liar. Then I just tie it in a knot. Boop, boop, boop. Like that. And that way, I mean, it's probably not gonna come apart anyway, but I feel real secure in that. All right, sorry, that was bothering me. Okay, so here we have my gorgeous labels in and sort of centered on the neck there. And now I can go ahead and do my understitching, which is probably gonna get really close to that label, but that's where I'm gonna start. That's why I decided to go ahead and sew it in before I did this understitching. That's obviously optional, but I highly recommend if you're into sewing, like, to just go ahead and invest in some labels. You don't even have to do expensive ones. These are woven ones, but you can do printed ones. People on Etsy sell them. You can buy small quantities. Like I said, I buy a couple hundred at a time usually, just because the price is usually better that way. But you don't have to. Now this also works best if I had pressed it, but like it's a knit. Like I said, I'm finger pressing it here as I'm putting it. Like you can't see my finger. Sorry. I'm finger pressing it, making sure that it's tight. I'm happy Auntie Carol isn't in here to fuss at me today. Hallelujah. And you're just going to pivot at the V. You're going to put your needle down and pivot, and then keep it moving. I'm just finishing up this understitching. Let's try to keep this neck facing down. Again, I still think that I'm going to follow the instructions in top stitch, as much as I hate top stitching facings. I really hate facings in general, y'all, just FYI. Like I said, I prefer lining or just like bias tape or, I don't know, apparently anything besides facing. That's just personal preference. And a sidebar. Alright, I'm just cutting some of these loose threads because, again, this annoys me as I'm sewing. So I'm just doing that to a couple of these spots, and then I'm going to go over and press it, which I should have done before I understitch, but I really want to make sure I press it now before I go into this top stitching. I don't want anything any like woven or wrinkled up or something. So y'all keep giving me likes if you know you're enjoying this, if you're sticking around, if you're watching. I want lots of likes and thumbs ups and things. We gotta let the algorithm know that they need to push me to more people. The YouTube gods, may they ever be in my favor. Okay, so yeah, cut that off. Sorry. Alright, so now this is understitched. I'm going to take this over to my table and I'm going to give it a good press down so that, give it a good press under like this so that I can go and top stitch along the whole thing. And the V is still looking pretty good. I just need to give it a press and we will, thank you, likes, hearts. Hopefully you guys can see me. Let me adjust some things. Yep, I'm gonna go right back there and do this cutting. I don't know if I can get this one to go. Will it go? Damn, look at, oh Jesus, stay. Why am I talking to it like a dog? Bam. Hopefully that stays. All right, y'all, let's go over ever so quietly and softly. Y'all know that my ring light usually be trying to kill me, so let's just hope that don't happen. All right, so I'm gonna spin it over here so I can actually have some light. Don't fall. And I'm gonna give this a good press. That's looking nice and clean here. This is nice and flat, so I can just press it right here on my table. I keep this ironing mat on top of my cutting table, so it makes it really easy to press everything. And I can already tell, yep, I definitely have to top stitch this because this is really gonna want to come out. The other benefit of going over this with the iron is that you know how you get sort of like that imprint when you press something on the right side. This is probably going to make it a little bit easier for me to make sure that I'm catching it, because I don't know how even this facing is really, but we are going to try our best. I'm going to keep using this elastic thread in the bobbin, so Although this neckline is such a deep V that there really won't be much stretch put on this neckline. Alright, I don't want to go too warm, but let me bring this back over. I'm going to try to do it to this camera since it's the main camera, so hopefully you guys can see like how that's really clean. It's a really clean V. At least I think. I'm tooting my own horn here, people. But you can also see as I'm holding it how it already wants to come out, even with the understitching. So we're going to go ahead and top stitch this down. So I'm going to swoosh the camera's back to more so what I want you to see. Alright. I think that's good again. Alright, so basically top stitching, nothing tricky here. I always like to start at the center back, but this time I think I might start at the shoulder seam. That may actually be a little bit more inconspicuous of a place on this particular pattern. And as tempting as it is to sew this with the wrong side up so you can see where the edge of that facing is, you want to avoid that because then you won't really get the even stitch all the way around the neckline. And this, I could tell at the shoulder seams, just because that seam is bulkier, it was a little narrower seam allowance right there. So I am lining this up. I think I'll be able to catch everything if I line this up at like 3/4 of an inch. I wanted to do an inch, but I don't think that's going to catch everything. So we're just going to try to keep this as consistent as possible. I might even do my cheek, which I don't usually do, with my magnetic seam thing. Like, I've been sewing long enough that I really shouldn't have this problem, just because it's on the top. You know, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to have to do it because I don't see where my magnetic seam guide is. So, oh well. It is what it is. I'm just going to keep a careful eye on this. I probably won't reply to anything for a second while I'm trying to keep this 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And you can also just sort of feel, especially if you did that surged edge, you can feel right where that edge is so you know if you're getting it on the bottom or not. I've also elongated my stitch a little bit. Like the standard I think is 2.5. I have it at 3 millimeters. Slow and steady. You don't want to get anything too stretched. Again, this isn't a super stretchy fabric so that I don't have to worry about it. But if you were using something like a jersey or something with like a really high lycra content, like a sweater knit, like my first one, you want to make sure that you don't get any puckers by like really smoothing it out as you're feeding it through the machine. We're also going to do the same thing when we get to this V, which is sort of pause right there on that center front seam that you can see, and pivot, and that'll keep that nice and clean as well. I'm sort of looking at it, making sure that the seam is open underneath the bottom as I do this as well. There we go. I'm tempted to stick a pin in it, and I think that I will. Just to make sure that sort of lays flat, doesn't get. So I'm just about to hand crank it to hit that center seam. And I'm going to lift the pressure foot. The pin is holding it in place. Then I'm going to pivot. Okay, I'm going to just pivot and I'm going to do one stitch forward, one stitch back just to reinforce that V, and then go back to sewing 3/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way back. When you get around to the second, I started at the shoulder seam, but when you get around to the second shoulder seam, it's going to be a little thicker because of the seam allowance. So you can hear I'm going super fast right there. I'm actually going to slow down as I go over the shoulder seam. All right, all good. I'm gonna speed it back up. Same thing at the center back, and I'm gonna try really hard to get right at the edge so that I don't sew through my label. So I'm just feeling for it. And I think that was fine. We'll see when I turn it over. And we're coming back to the shoulder seam where we started. So we're just gonna sew and then backstitch, backstitch, a couple extra stitches. All right, let's see how I did. Cut these loose threads. All right, so I did catch the very little corner here of my label, but that's fine. I can rip that out and redo it. But I didn't catch it here. I managed to get right along the edge, and you can, oops, look at me making a mess. Sorry, don't want to make y'all dizzy, so sorry. That we have a nice clean top stitching along the top here. So I guess facing isn't terrible, but I still would rather it not be there. But my thread matches pretty good, I think. Hopefully that shows on camera, or hopefully I'm not being delusional. So you can't see it too much. It's fine. All right, so now the next step, I would put in the shoulder seams flat, but that's not what the instructions say. That's not what the instructions say. So I said I was going to be a good little rule follower today. And do what the instructions said. So when we sewed, the shoulder seams together, we were actually supposed to sew the side seams together, and I didn't do that. So now we're going to go back and do that, and then I will sew the cuffs. And I'm only sort of agreeing to do it the way that the instructions did it because I am using this sequence fabric for the seam, and I don't want to run this through the serger. And if I sewed this in flat before I sewed the side seams together like I typically would, then I went over and serged it, I'd have to do everything. If I do each side seam separate and then set in the sleeve, then I can skip serging on that part. Thank you, Mike. I be trying. All right, so here, same thing. I'm just pinning together the side seams, which are a single notch. So I'm starting at the notch. Boop. Okay, you can see there with the notch. So that's the front and the back, and I am just pinning it together at the notch, and then I'm pinning it together right at the underarm seam. And then I'm just going to put a couple of extra pins. I'm not a heavy pinner. I'm going to pin a couple of extra spots down here, and that's mainly because if you were with me at the beginning, you know that I made this out of these, the hair on my chinny chin chin is how I got this dress out of this fabric. So the hem is going to be longer on the back than the front, because that's just what I could make work with my fabric, and I just cut it as long as possible. Then I was going to sew it together like I'm doing now. Then I'm just going to cut a straight hem after the fact, and see where that gets me. I think it's about an inch or two shorter than the view line on the front. So it is what it is. I didn't want it as short as view A, which is the knee length. I wanted a little bit extra length, so I just was trying to get as close to view B as I can. So this is view A. It comes right to the knee length, which I usually love a knee length dress, but there's something about this dress that I really like in the longer. So it's probably going to hit me right below the knee because I'm going to take a couple of inches off. And again, that's just because of fabric constraints. I can show you right here as I'm pinning this last one. Hold on. So I'm using more pins than normal is what I was trying to say, because these are not, this is not going to line up. So see that terrible piece? That's me trying to use every little script and scrap of the fabric that I had. There's like this big notch in the back. Anyway, so that's one side. Let's pin the other side. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Carmen assured me that doing this live alone will probably get me to the status where I can be monetized, and that is my goal for 2024, is to really build up my YouTube channel. not just for me, but so that other sewers can have some really good information out there. You know, sew alongs, tutorials, pattern thoughts, things like that. Because, you know, I want everybody to sew. So if I can get monetized, well, this is not something. If I can get monetized and, you know, get some revenue off of this, I can also invest in some things like a new sewing machine, or like right now I want a heat press. I have a Cricut Easy Press, but I really want to move to having a heat press. That don't really got nothing to do with sewing, because I just like all DIY stuff. But it'll help, because I saw where what's her name? I can only think of her Instagram name. I know her real name. Oh no. She does sewing, but she also lives on a farm. She teaches classes, all the things. She was talking about how you can use a heat press to like do block interfacing and things like that. So like, yeah, I guess it sort of relates to sewing, or I can make it relate to sewing. All right, so yeah, this is how, like, this is cut wrong. Something ain't right, so I'm gonna true this in the end. I'm not, oh, can you see it? This is shorter than this, so I'm gonna true that in the end. But yeah. All right, so now we are just gonna sew the side seams. I'm starting at the underarm because I know my hem is janky, right? So I don't want to start at the hem, because then something's gonna be wonky at the top. So we're just gonna start. I'm still good on that bobbin thread, on that elastic bobbin thread. So I'm just gonna go ahead. Crafty Gemini, thank you. What is her real name? Vanessa. Yes, the things. I know these things. I really think I'm going through like perimenopause, y'all, because why can't I remember things that I know that I know? Crafty Gemini, thank you, T. That is her, and her real name is Vanessa. I know these things. Yeah, see, so I feel like I need a heat press. Like I said, I have a Cricut Easy Press, which when I first got into like Cricut, I thought was like, oh, like stick with Cricut. And then I have realized that the heat presses are just better. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I don't think they have to be super expensive. If you, T, don't mind, could you give me like a recommendation for a heat press? I was sort of trying to look on Facebook Marketplace and buy one secondhand. But I want that. I want a projector. I mean, don't we all have long lists of the new craft tools we want? I want some more shoe making accessories, because I know y'all will love a good shoe making video. Vanessa, or Crafty Gemini, just shared a heat press that she was using on her stories on Instagram, and it was a couple $100, which I guess probably isn't outrageous, but like I was trying to only spend like $150 or so, like right at $200. I think the one she shared was like $250, $275, but maybe I'm just being cheap. My husband always says I'm being cheap. Alright, that's one side. Let's do the other side real quick. Y'all also make sure that y'all follow Black Sewing Network, and I think she's CAG Reinvented. She might be CAG the Mag on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, because Black Sewing Network is going to be doing a host of videos of sew-alongs on patterns from apparel to bag making on Vevor. I've seen that a lot of black makers for the month of February, as we should. So be sure to follow Carmen and Black Sewing Network. Either look for CAG Reinvented or CAG the Mag, as well as Black Sewing Network on all your socials, so that you can catch everything that she has. There's also a Black History Month sewing challenge. Check out her Instagram. She just posted some of the rules of that on her stories today. Vevor. since 2016 in a random 12 by 15 I got on eBay. Swing away presses, which I prefer. Okay, so that was what my girlfriend was trying to explain to me. She's more into like the heat press, like she has like a little t-shirt business. That was really offensive. She has a t-shirt business. Why did I throw little in there? That is my girl. She was saying that she sort of wished she had a swing away because she has definitely burnt her hand a couple of times on of course, Carmen, on her just open clamshell one, right? So yeah, I don't want that to happen. So, but she was saying you need more room, I guess, for the arm to actually swing away, but I do think that that would make sense. And the reason why I really came to this realization, T, is because I bought some puff vinyl, and I haven't actually tried to use it yet, but I've heard that the puff HTV won't really puff without the pressure, and you can only do so much pressure with the easy press, right? You can only, you can only put so much body weight on it, versus like the higher PSI you would get for something that could clamp down. So that's what really pushed me over the edge of being like, okay, I need a real heat press, not easy press. Yeah, I figured as much. So either way, I'm gonna get burned, Carmen. Oh well, I'm a klutz. That's probably one of the reasons why I like shears better than rotary cutter. I have 2 cuts on my pinky right now that I don't know what that's from. I don't know if I did that with the rotary cutter, in my car, at work. I don't know. I shouldn't be allowed to operate heavy machinery. Here I am with a sewing machine, a serger, and a cover stitch though, so God bless. So far, I've yet to sew through a finger, so that's something. Yeah, my girlfriend's actually like throws off her circuit, like it blows her whole circuit. I was there with her not too long ago, and she was like, "Oh, I need to make these t-shirts right quick," and then it was like, "Shoo," all the power went out. I said, "Girl, what happened?" She's like, "Oh, the heat press does that sometimes." I was like, "Oh, okay." I don't think she's on this live, but T, now that's not how you supposed to, I don't know how you supposed to test the temp, but I don't think that's the way. Oh yeah, it's so I tell people, like literally anybody who will listen, which ain't a lot of people, that I really think now that I've gotten into this space where I sew and just, shoemaking, because my husband bought me a drill for that. I have a heat gun for that. The heat of like the easy press. I have multiple irons, right? And I'm an engineer by trade. Most of you already know that. I'm really convinced that I can pretty much build anything. I don't do it because power tools scare me a little bit. Well, power tools that cut, let me put it that way. Power tools that cut scare me a little bit. But I am pretty confident that like I could build, maybe not like a house, but like a patio cover, like a pergola. I'm convinced that I could do that. I'm also convinced that I could make furniture. I just don't think I have the patience for it. But I'm really convinced that if I would just let myself try to figure out how to use power tools, that I would be unstoppable. But I don't need to pick up another hobby. This is already taking up a whole space that I don't want to share with anybody else. Although my husband was like, can I get a corner of that room? You have a whole shed for your gardening stuff. Do we really need to share this space? Maybe. We'll see. Right now, it's still half a disaster down here. Okay, now, I'm just going to serge these side seams together. But Carm, yeah, I feel like, people be trying to act like sewing is so girdly and it's so whatever. But, like, we are working with shop objects and heavy machinery, so clearly the way that I broke a needle on this serger when I was trying to sew this sequence fabric for something else, you should almost be wearing safety goggles. You see what I'm saying? Like, where I'm supposed to be clicking them to so that I always know where they are, but they keep hitting the floor. Okay. And this is why I keep my little trash can here, because bam, put it right there. Oh, one thing I didn't discuss is I am sewing a size 22/24. I'm a 44-inch bust and a 48-inch hip, and who knows what in the middle. So I decided to do a 22 at the top and then grade out to a 48. I'm hoping that that's not too small. It worked just fine when I made it previously, but my previous version was in a very stretchy sweater knit. This doesn't have nearly as much stretch. So, you know, we'll see at the end if this actually fits. I probably should have checked before I searched it, but And again, I'm only concerned about that because this fabric doesn't have a whole lot of stretch. It's a French terry. It's not a super stretchy knit. It doesn't have a high lycra count. Snips are where they're supposed to be. Bam. So now basically most of the dress is constructed. I have to decide whether I don't. This is not going to get serged on the inside. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Actually, not sorry, but sort of sorry. I don't know. As long as I don't burn the house down, Lord, let's pray. That is why I swear by, I have my Oliso iron down here so that I never have to worry about if I leave it set, you know, down or whatever. It also has the auto shut off, although it's like an hour. It's really long, 30 minutes or an hour. And, I have surge protectors on everything because the chances that I'm going to forget to cut off one of these massive, oh wait, it's not on, one of these massive lights, concerns me. This is also sort of, like I said, just my area, so nobody else comes down here. So if I mess up and leave something on, it's no telling how. The house will probably have to burn down for us to know that I left something on. So God bless. Wait, your machine tried to catch fire, Julian? Is that what you said? Did I miss something? I have all the hobbies. The trick is, oh well, you know, my teenagers are getting up there, so they gonna have to get out soon, and then we will have another room. The problem is that now me and my husband have hobbies. So shameless plug: if you are into gardening, because most people who sew are also into everything DIY. So if you sew, you might want to grow your own food, and if you do, follow my husband ATL Grow. He's on Instagram, he's on TikTok, he's on YouTube. He's currently doing a series of like 28 day of seed starting because he's trying to get everybody prepped, sowing their seeds for the spring harvest. Jillian, you can't burn, child. Please do a video. This is a 1980s machine. Maybe that's why we shouldn't trust 1980s technology. I thought y'all were talking about me burning down my house with these damn tools and my heat gun and shit. And then Julian is out here trying. Julian, we love you. Please don't. Please don't. All right, so this is. Oh wait, hold on. I gotta go back to my other view so I can see. This is the dress pretty much together. We got the side seams together all the way down. We have the neck done with the tag and the facing and the top stitching. Gorgeousness. Okay, now it's time for the sleeves. And that's why I didn't move the camera from the sewing machine. I am definitely not. Oh wait, hold on. While I'm over here, let me go ahead and. Actually, no, I'm going to do that on the sewing machine too. We're going to move it back to the sewing machine. And we are going to sew these sleeves together. Like I said, I'm doing this primarily because I don't plan on serging this. I hope it's not too itchy when I wear it. But my serger, if I try to sew through these sequins, will break a needle. Like every time. Every time. So I'm going to just sew this. Now this, I'm gonna go ahead and do it in straight stitch. You know why? Because the stretch is in this direction for your arm, right? The stretch is not in that direction. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just sew this 5/8 of an inch, and then we will set in the sleeve. I will go a little bit slower while I do this in a hope that I don't break the needle, which is a probability even on the sewing machine. Julian started pouring out of what now? So, oh Lord, somebody done gave you a faulty machine. Who we got to fight? Who we got to fight, Julian? Alright, I'm just going slow and steady. Now, truth be told, if this was a heavier sequin, like there's some space in between these sequins, you can see the velvet there. Truth be told, if this was more packed, I don't feel like showing you guys, not that I just don't feel like getting up. I have some more packed sequin fabric that I've used for some other stuff. There I would really trim the sequins out of the, why do I sound so country? I would try to trim the sequins out of the seam allowance, but for this, as long as I go slow, it should be okay. Julian, again, who do we have to fight? You're not answering me. Alright, so that's sewn. There is a lot of sequence in this seam allowance, which I might go and cut this out now after the fact. I just didn't feel like doing it right at the moment. And then let's see. So this will be like this. I have big arms, so I sort of wanted to make sure that I didn't need to do this at a less seam allowance. But I actually think, because it's like a drop shoulder, I think that's fine. It's not uncomfortable. I don't even really feel the sequence on the inside too badly, so I mean it's also literally just on my arm, but I think it's okay. I think that's fine. I'm wondering if I should have made it a little bit longer, but maybe I'm misjudging how far up the drop shoulder goes. It comes pretty much right to my wrist, and then there's a cuff, so let me not forget that there's a cuff. All right, so that is one sleeve done. One sleeve done. Let's do the other one. Right, same thing, slow and steady wins the race. Still looking good on that bobbin thread, and here we go. Oh, thank you, Tawana. Carmen has really created a very supportive, loving community, dare I say family, with Black Sewing Network, and I'm really appreciative to that for her. For that. Oh girl, I'm tired. I really am. Oh, so I would say, Tawana, it's not very hard to sew sequins. It depends on what kind of sequence you use, but I definitely would recommend you sew it on your sewing machine. Go for a Microtex or also a heavier weight needle like a 14 or a 16. And if you have the patience and are a better person than me, trim your sequence out of your sewing allowance, because that makes it less likely for you to hit a sequence and break a needle. I just happen to know, I've sewn this fabric a lot, I happen to know that my needle will go through it. So I just am doing it this way. But if I had a heavier pack sequence, which I have done, it's better to trim the sequence out of the semi allowance. And by by that I just mean, like you would cut all of these sequence out along where you're going to sew before you actually stitch it. I just am going to sew through it, because again, Lisa of Black Women Stitch told me not to say that I'm lazy. I am efficient. So that is my efficiency move, is to skip that step when it's something that I know that it will in fact go through. So this is the second sleeve. So now we got two sleeves. We're going to set these in. Now again, I would usually sew these in flat, but because they are the sequence and I didn't want to try to use my serger to serge all the way up this and then around the sleeve, I didn't. So let me switch to this camera, which I don't think you guys can see as well. So sorry. I have the dress wrong sides out, and I am going to put the sleeve right side out inside of the dress. And I'm going to make sure that I'm grabbing the right sleeve because the double notch is facing me. So I want the double notch of the sleeve to also face me. So let's see. This is the single notch, so this is the wrong sleeve. Let's grab the other one. This is the double notch. So I have the double notch here and the double notch here facing me. I'm going to take this whole sleeve, I'm going to put it in the hole, and then I'm going to put these double notches together. So there's that double notch, and here is the double notch on the dress. I'm just going to pin these together. And then I'm going to pin together the underarm seam on the sequence and the underarm seam of the dress. And then there are a couple of more dots and a single notch on the front. I'm going to line all of that together. You're going to have a single notch for the front, and then you are going to have a dot but I made it a notch for the center for the shoulder seam. I'm going to pin that together, and then there are a couple of more dots just to help you ease everything in. It's not as tricky with this when you're putting two knits together. You can just sort of stretch and you make it fit. This is a lot trickier with a woven until you get familiar with it, but with this is fine. All right, so same thing. I'm going to feed it through a little slow because I am working with sequins, and I am actually going to work with the sequence fabric facing up just to sort of prevent some sequins from getting down and into my machine if I had sewed it on the bottom. Some may still get down there, so it's always really important. Also, yes, another good tip is to make sure that you clean your machine really good, period, you know, every couple of projects. But if I do a project with a fabric that sheds, sequins, or fur, I make sure to clean out my machine after those kind of projects, because that is going to gunk up your machine a little bit faster than other things will, than just like regular, you know, cotton fabric or something. So again, I'm just going to sort of keep going slow because I did not trim these sequins. I'm doing it at 5/8 of an inch because it's a big 5 pattern. Ouch. I hit myself with the pen, of course. Alright, alright. Just feeding it through, lining everything up. Jillian, you okay? Now you started talking about smoke, and then you ain't saying nothing in the chat. Are you alive? So this sleeve is in, and like I said, because I don't feel like taking this through my serger and potentially breaking multiple needles, I am not going to serge this. Now, am I going to finish it off some other way? I haven't decided, but I'm not going to serge it. So for tonight, it's just going to be raw. Now, will I go in here and trim the seam allowance? Probably. Because I don't know how else I would really finish it off, to be honest with you. And I feel like it might be a little bit irritating, but here we go. Here is the here's the V-neck of the front of the dress, and then here is the sleeve. So I think that sort of works. Let me put it on this camera. You don't have as much glare. I think these colors go. Right. And I debated, y'all, between doing the sequence cuff here or doing the French terry cuff. So I think I'm going to do the French terry cuff mostly because I think a sequence cuff is going to be uncomfortable to wear. I think it would look better if I'm being honest, but I think it's going to be uncomfortable to wear, and I don't. We're all about comfort. So we're just going to do the same thing for the second sleeve that we have here. So we're going to set this in. Yep, I don't have to worry about it as much this time because the other sleeve is in, so this has to be the right sleeve. And I am going to do the same thing. The dress has the right side facing, or it's inside out, and then I'm going to take the sleeve the right side out and stick it in. And then I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to line up the front single notch, the back double notch. We're going to line up the underarm seam. And we're going to line up the shoulder dart to the shoulder seam. It's going to pin all the way around and sew this together. And y'all, I think this is where I'm going to end tonight because honestly, I'm really excited about Abbott Elementary premiering tonight. I want to make sure that I see it, although I haven't recorded. And the only thing left after, well, actually, no, I'll be a little bit late because I do want to show it to you guys on. The last thing I will do is hem it, but I need to even out this hem because, like I said, I was using the very, very skin of my teeth to get this out of this fabric remnant. So that's going to take some truing, and I don't want to rush through that tonight. So, but you guys, I'm going to put it on so you'll have an idea of what it's going to look like in the end. Okay, Julie, as soon as I get off this live, I got to see this video. I've got to see this video. Alright, so lining everything up again, putting it under the presser foot, and we're just sewing at 5/8 of an inch. Again, I just want to reiterate, if you are watching me on some off chance that YouTube just said, hey, watch this crazy girl that's sewing, make sure that you follow Black Sewing Network. This sew along is a part of Black Sewing Network's initiative this month to sew exclusively, or as many as possible, Black pattern makers, pattern designers. And so the project that I am working on is actually a Know Me pattern by Aronica B. Cole, who is of course a Black woman pattern designer for the Know Me brand. And there will be several other patterns done this month. They've already done a few by Nikki, by Erica Bunker, and that will continue for the whole month. Not just clothing, also bags. Black Sewing Network has started doing live quilting sew-alongs as well. So whatever you may be into, you're going to be able to find. And of course we do, you know, support all indie makers and things like that. But of course, being Black History Month, Carmen and the whole group is focusing primarily on patterns made by Black creators. So make sure you are following CAG the Mag, or CAG Reinvented, as well as Black Sewing Network on all the socials. Threads, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. Also, I would appreciate it if you would like this video, send some hearts, and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss when I do another one of these. And if you are new to sewing or just interested in sewing, I have a lot of content coming to you soon. I also plan on getting my thoughts on the Berta spring release out this week, and I have some thoughts. I'm gonna tell y'all now. So yeah, stick around, hang out. If you follow me, I'm gonna follow you back. And here is the dress. Essentially, it just needs to be here. Oh wait, no, hold on. Almost forgot the cuffs. Let's do the cuffs. Now you could do this on your serger as well because, you know, stretching. But I actually like to sew a cuff on my sewing machine. because especially a cuff like this, right, where you have a long cuff and then you're going to turn it, you know, fold it in half. So you're going to come in here. Again, I'm going to sort of finger press this open, match it, and wrap it around, right? So you have this longer cuff here. One, I always like to make sure that the cuff fits me nicely, and it does, right? So you don't want it to be too tight, but you also don't want it to be too loose, right? Okay, anyway. And so the reason why I like to just do this on my sewing machine versus serging it is like now you can press this seam open and it's not as bulky as having like the serger edge on each other, right? So anyway, you're just going to take this. There is this seam and then there is a notch on the other side. And we are going to line that up with the notch on the sleeve and the seam on the sleeve. Sort of the same as when we were attaching the sleeve, but this time I'm going to keep both things sort of right side out because this is folded in half anyway. And I'm just going to take it over. Another way to do this, if you don't feel as comfortable easing everything in under your presser foot on the machine because you might get gaps or puckers, is to do a basting stitch, which is just the longest stitch setting on your sewing machine, and do a small like gather, right? Just do like a really loose longest stitch on your sleeve itself, and then pull it to get a little bit of gather, and that way you don't have to worry. See, because you're gonna have a lot. Let me do it here. You're gonna have to ease the sleeve in quite a bit. I don't mind sort of wiggling that in under the presser foot as I'm sewing it, but if you are newer to sewing, that might be sort of intimidating. You might end up with a big bump or something. You can do that gathering trick that I was mentioning. I don't know what the instructions say because as much as I tried to follow them, y'all, I'm not picking them up again. So we're just going to pin this down. I'm going to go ahead and do it for the other cuff so I can just do both of them back to back. Let's do this. Same thing. Take it. Sort of finger press that seam open. It would be nice if you really pressed it. I'm not. And then just fold it in half to create your cuff. And then same thing, pin the notch to the notch and the seam to the seam, and ease in the rest. Oh, there's the notch. I was like, where is the notch? All right, there we go. This is another time where if you're a clip person, clips would make a little bit more sense, but this is fine. My pins are working. You guys, all in all, how are you enjoying this live? Is the sound good? How do you like the video? Is the picture-in-picture helpful? Do you like the overhead look at the machine, or would you rather it maybe be behind my machine facing me? Or, you know, would you prefer it at the side angle in the small picture-in-picture to be the overhead? Let me know. Because I'm playing with different setups and how I can best make these type of live sew videos be worthwhile for you to watch. I really appreciate you rocking with me and getting me closer to these watch hours, but I also want to make sure that you're getting what you need to get, or you want to get out of these videos. I'm just sort of stretching that ease in as I'm sewing around the cuffs. Now, if I was doing a true sew along, I would probably definitely give you a view of like what I'm looking at. But that's not exactly what these live sews are for. They're sort of like a sew along, but not as formal, obviously. Alright. Taking it slow because I'm easing this extra fabric in. So like I said, I didn't think I would love this cuff as much as the sequence cuff, so I'm gonna see how I feel about it when I try it on. Again, I'm not gonna serge this, so if I change my mind I can take it out. I just sort of feel like I don't want a sequence cuff, but I have plenty more of the sequence fabric. I just didn't have enough of the French terry, so if I decide I want to switch it out, it won't be difficult for me to switch out at all. Crap. I just sewed over a needle, y'all, but it didn't break, so hallelujah. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Cheryl. That's what I want to know. Because another option I had was to do more of like, but behind the machine, like more of a, like me looking at you over the machine type view. So yeah, you see what I'm saying? Does that help? Would you prefer that or like neither of those? Neither is fine. I'm literally asking for just opinions. So I want to give the people what they want. So here we go. That's more like that, so that could also be an option. And then I could do an overhead in the other picture-in-picture, or a different view, a view more of like looking at what I'm looking at. Okay, thanks, Cheryl. Catrice, which is a great setup, before I changed it or after I changed it? Let me know. Sorry, I probably changed it as you were typing. You behind the machine. Okay. Well, y'all, damn, I should have asked that first. Sorry. I should have asked that 2 hours ago, huh? Thank you for supporting me anyway. Thank you for sticking in there. So I will, ooh, I feel like I'm close. I will switch that for next time. I will figure out how to rig it up so this is more of this kind of view. And then let me know. I want not to knock this whole setup down that I currently have going. Hold on. But I do want feedback, and instant feedback is the best kind of feedback, right? So you could have sort of this where I'm just sort of more talking to you directly, and then I can do the picture-in-picture of the overhead, or like my view looking at the machine. That would be an option. Or I could do more of, hold on. Would you want more of like a me from behind? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what would work the best. Y'all just tell me in the comments, because I feel like I'm making it worse by moving everything around. Okay, so Catrice, you prefer the overhead where you can actually see what I'm doing working at the machine. And Cheryl, Jermaine, you guys prefer seeing a little bit more of me, but Tawana and Catrice, it seems like y'all want to see a little bit more of the machine. So what I think, I just don't want to make y'all dizzy. What I think I may try in the future, this tripod. What I think I may try in the future is more of what I do on TikTok, which is more of like this kind of view where you sort of see me, but you also see the machine. Like more of this like sort of side angle view. Would that be better? I know I'm making y'all dizzy. I'm so sorry. I just really want to know. Like, I don't want to spend a lot of time creating something that isn't going to be helpful for people. So I think maybe this view, or like, of course, better sort of strategically set up, but like maybe this view where you can see the machine and you can see me, would that be better? I can't keep it there right now because I would have to like turn the camera upside down and all kinds of stuff, and we're almost done. But I will definitely keep that in mind for next time. Y'all just let me know. Yes. Okay, then I will do that next time. I am perfectly fine with 100% honest feedback. It is what helps us all. Something like that. I like this English. Okay, well, I will change that. I will change that. And maybe I'll keep the overhead, or not the overhead, maybe I'll keep more of a looking at the machine view for the picture-in-picture, the smaller one, and keep the larger one. I can work that out. I just got to finagle some things, but that's not difficult at all. All right, so this cuff is on. Yeah, I hate watching the silent videos. What I really love, and one of the things that Carmen definitely sold me on doing the TikTok So Along Lives and just working with BSN in general is, first of all, TikTok lets you play anything. I was not risking playing any music in the background here because I was not getting flagged. I didn't get monetized. So I did not want to get flagged for copyright infringement on anybody's music. Oh, why am I still looking at that? At anybody's music on this one. I did not want that trouble in my life. So I didn't want to play any music in the background here, although I know I could find like copyright free playlists. I didn't want to risk it this first time. I will try that next time. But I love it when there are multiple people sewing. And then you can get some conversation and stuff like that. So what I am about to do is sort of turn these cameras around, obviously, so I can slip this on. I'm also going to have to take this mic off for a second. And I'm going to slip this on so you guys can see what it looks like. Because at this point, everything is done except for it's not hemmed. Okay? So, yeah, hold on. Look at my fabric wall of fabric. So sorry about the swinging. I really am. I'm just making sure y'all can't see over here. Okay. All right, y'all, we can go back to y'all seeing me. Here we go. Again, sorry about the swinging. So sorry. Oh, well, I'm upside down. Stay. Okay, so this is the dress. Okay, I think that I will peg it. There we go. I think that I will peg it a little bit more at the bottom. This means bring it in, so it's a little bit more like that at the bottom. Yes, my slippers match. I'm not taking my slippers off. So this is the look. I only have on a sports bra, so like, excuse that action. But yeah, I actually like the sleeves. I still don't know if I'm a fan of the cuff not being sequenced. I might change that out. Y'all let me know what you think. I'm thinking I'm not loving it. This would definitely fit better if I had on a real bra. But yeah, this is it. This is the length of view B with the neckline of view A without that choker band, which I really like, but I had done it on my previous version of this dress. So again, excuse my sports bra straps here, but this is the look. It is a deep V. That's how it's described. And it is, but it's not like severely deep. I'm not really flat chested, but I'm not all that busty. But either way, it's not that deep. It gives you just enough. And I like the sequence arms. It gives you a little extra little shimmy shimmy. I just have to decide if I want to switch out the cuffs. Now, excuse me while I stare at the computer so I can see the comments, because I see it going off, but I can't read it while I'm looking at the other camera. Thank you so much, Carmen. Yes, exactly what she said. Please, 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 please. Get me all the watch hours. I really want to be able to monetize. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You love the sleeves. Blah, 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 blah. It's showing the sewing machine. I made a size 22 in the bust, and then I graded out to a 24 in the hip, because I am a 44-inch bust and I am a 48-inch hip. So my hip matched the 24 size and my bust matched the 22 size. So I just graded along that to go from one size to the other. I think that the hip on this is like 49 and a half. I typically would have gone for a negative ease in the hip, you know, but I didn't think this fabric had much stretch, and it doesn't. So I didn't want it to be too tight. I didn't want it to be too clingy. And I don't think I'm going to adjust that. I think I'm just going to peg it down at the bottom. Okay, yes, thank you, Carmen. That is what I did. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Super cute. Yes, it looks nice. It's cute. The sequence cuffs. Yeah, I think so too, Carmen. What y'all think? I like the not... Oh, the cuff's not sequin. Okay, thank you, Julian. So now we got half and half. We love a good V. Leave the cuffs. Keep the cuffs. Okay, everybody but you, Carm, said keep the cuffs, so I'm gonna keep them. But I like it. I was a little concerned about the stretch. I was a little bit concerned about the sequins when I remembered that this was a drop shoulder. Like, I was thinking, like, had it been a raglan sleeve or something, it would give you a little bit more sequin. It wasn't until I went to actually cut out the sleeves and saw the shape of the sleeve that I realized that, dang, this is a drop shoulder dress. But I actually think it still works. It's cute. Again, I'm not going nowhere for Valentine's Day, but I think this would be a really cute look for Valentine's Day. Again, I'm probably going to peg it a little bit more, and I'm actually now wondering if I would like it shorter. I don't know. Hold on. Let's think about it. No, I think for some reason in this dress, I think I just like the midi length. And I still need to hem it, so I'll lose about an inch or two, depending on how deep I make the hem. So yeah, we'll see. So that is it. Thank you for rocking with me, you guys. We made it through in a little under 3 hours, or right at 3 hours. So I started right on time. So this is an easy dress. If I hadn't been talking through the instructions and chit-chatting with y'all, I feel like I probably could have got this done in like 2.5 hours. So yeah, it's super cute. Oh, this is the back. Okay. So you just have like a regular neck. Okay. And then we have the deep V in the front. Okay. So yeah, so that's everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So guys, for watching, I will let you know in the morning when my watch hours recalculate, and let y'all know on Instagram, TikTok, here, everywhere, whether or not I have met the numbers to monetize. And even if I haven't, thank you so much for getting me that much closer. Like Carmen said, if you have a second account and you can rewatch this, just if it's playing in the background, just make sure your volume set at like 1 so it registers like a watch. Please do that. I also have my longest playlist is probably my pattern review thoughts. So like if you just have some time while you're working from home or doing whatever, that you can just have it playing on your phone, playing on your TV with the volume low. You just start that playlist and just keep watching. So let me rack up them hours, because we are trying to get all the BSN people who want to grow their YouTube channels. We're trying to get them grown. So also, again, make sure you follow Carmen, follow Black Sewing Network, follow Julian, follow Denisha, Classified Life. I'm trying to think of who else. Everybody who's Terrence Williams. Make sure you follow all their accounts and just keep those things running in the background so that we can all get monetized. Okay, I'm checking the comments one more time and then I'm gonna get off. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Lavon. It's very versatile. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, the mini is cute. Okay, now I gotta think about that. Blah, 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 blah. Cute, cute, cute. You were fast. I am a fast sewer. You know me, Carm. Okay, it's only 2 hours. What time did I start? Oh, I did start at 7. Ha! Okay, yeah, I feel like this is like an hour and a half so. Like, if you really wanted it to be. Okay, especially if I had skipped, like, all that time on the sewing machine and just done everything on the serger. Girl, we could have been in and out in a cool 90 minutes. But anyway, thank you so much. Have a good night. I am going to save this. I'm going to replay it. I'm going to cringe. I'm going to cringe, okay, if I try to watch this back myself. Because I hate my own voice and I just be ad-libbing. So, yeah. But I'm gonna play it back. But I'm probably not gonna like it. Anyway, thank you for joining. See you next time. Carm's gonna be on tomorrow. Carm, where are you gonna be on? Are you gonna be on TikTok? She is going to be sewing Nikki's pants pattern that go with the coat, the Know Me pattern. And then I know somebody is also coming up Friday. There's Saturday, and there's of course Sunday service. So make sure you watch the rest of the week of programming for Black Sewing Network. The link to the schedule is in Carmen and Black Sewing Network's bio. Check it out. Catch everybody. See you next time. Happy sewing!